So the hiker up the Appalachian Trails, Dennis Davis, actually met with an interviewer and brought them to the exact spot. So we're going to watch and listen to his interview, and we're going to go over it just a little bit as we do, because there's many people that just absolutely do not believe Dennis at all. Many people says he's out for 5 minutes of fame. Many people even thinks that he is working with the Laundries to throw them off track of where Brian actually is. Personally speaking, myself, I do not believe he's working with the Laundries at all, and I don't believe he's looking for 5 minutes of fame either. However, I'm not sure if who he's seen was actually Brian, but I do think he honestly feels like it really was Brian. He is extremely adamant, and he's had very many interviews and reports, as well as you're going to hear the FBI also wants to meet with him. So somebody is taking his tip pretty seriously. The FBI is for sure, and Dog the Bounty Hunter, I believe. We're just going to listen to it, and we're going to go over it as we do. Okay, guys, well, let's get right into it.
Just explain to me what happened when you came in this roadway.
Yeah, so this was where I was coming off of I-40, and as I pulled out across the Pigeon River here, straight up this road, I saw a vehicle that was turning around. I'm pretty sure that ended up being Brian Laundrie's vehicle. I made the left-hand turn over here onto Waterville Road, and as I had mentioned before, I was doing a U-turn because I missed the parking lot, and this vehicle was the one who came around ultimately and stopped me and was talking with me, which of course was Brian Laundrie.
He does have an issue with saying Brian's name, it seems like. It's like, I don't know why, I can't understand it. Like in his 911 call, he called him Lawler or something to that effect, I don't remember. And then both times he wanted to use his last name here, he was Laundrie or something like that. So, I don't know why the word laundry would be so hard to remember. I think we all say it at least once a week, once a day usually. So, okay, y'all, let's get right into listen to the rest of it.
Probably people that are out there that are doubting what I'm saying. I know there were people out there on social media that were being a little mean to my wife and on Dog the Bounty Hunter's website. And I just want to...
I find that very wrong. I mean, why be mean to his wife? I just do not see the reasoning in that. Like, he came home, and just to be honest, I believe that his wife is literally probably the one that even got him knowing about Brian Laundrie, because seriously, most women are into true crime. Now, there's a lot of men as well, but for the most part, it's us women hounding our husbands about different cases, and make sure you look for this guy, or look for this child that's missing, things like that. So, I don't see why his wife should be catching hell and be people being mean to her. I just find that wrong, period. Whether the guy actually seen him or not, that is wrong. Okay, well, let's continue.
I'm back here, but go ahead and make the turn. And I did that, and then as I was coming back past the car, the guy stopped and rolled down his window and kind of waved at me. And that's when I started talking to Brian Laundrie. And, we had some conversation.
Well, he got his name right.
And, I ended up leaving there. I was going to spend the night there, but he was just weird acting. And I didn't know it was him at the time. So ultimately, I met my friend the next day, and we started our hike. And yeah, it's been kind of annoying getting all of the texts and all that. But as I said, it's kind of my civic duty. I thought, once I realized it was him, to follow through on that, not just to turn an eye, a blind eye to it and move on. But I really thought that it was the right thing to do. Well, when I first talked to him, before I knew it was him, I realized there was something wrong with him. He was acting very weird. I originally thought that maybe he was on drugs, And so I was originally going to spend the night in the parking lot right there at Davenport Gap. But after just seeing him, I was like, there's no way I'm staying here. I mean, if this guy comes back, he might want to do something bad.
He freaked him out.
So I took off. I got back on I-40 and I was headed west, and it kind of hit me. What if that was Brian Laundrie? And so I got off the first exit that I came to, and I pulled down and opened up my phone and looked on the internet for pictures of him because I didn't know what he looked like. And the thing that stood out when I saw Brian was and when I got there and I was...
It's odd that he did not know what Brian looked like. Now, there again, that goes back to my scenario of maybe it was his wife that had been telling him about it and said, well, just look for a guy that looks like this, and maybe she just kind of flashed the picture in front of him. I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, if y'all can't tell. Do I think he's correct that it was Brian? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just as possible as it's not. But I truly do not believe that he is just out to get 5 minutes of fame. I really don't. But I do think that his wife is the one that was telling him about all this. And
when I saw Brian, he had this really dark beard and mustache. It was very thick but short. And when I got there and I was looking at the pictures, the first picture I saw of him, it was a portrait view of him, and he had that same beard and mustache, it was the same face. And I knew it was him. And I immediately started looking to see if I could find the number for the FBI. And so I was pretty sure right then and there. After I talked to the FBI, though, I got back on and I was looking at other pictures of him, and I saw a profile view of him. And of course, because when we were talking, our cars were parked side by side, and he kept on looking forward. He didn't look straight at me very much. And so I had that profile view of him. And when that profile view came up, my heart literally jumped. I was like, holy crap, there's no doubt in my mind that was Brian. I even called the FBI back right then, and I was so, just hyped up. I guess,
he literally is adamant that this is Brian. Like, I believe this guy really thinks he did come in contact with Brian Laundrie. Like, I feel like he feels that way 100%. I don't think he's being malicious. And I know a lot of people's probably going to come at me for saying that, but I don't think he is. And even if it's not Brian, I truly believe that his heart tells him it is.
Looking at a killer right in the eyes and then, realizing it was him that I had seen just 15 minutes ago. And I called the FBI again, and I told him, I said, that was really him. You guys have got to go, look. And, they took my information both times, but I didn't really hear back from them or anything. When I first saw him, I kind of thought that he was on drugs because he was acting really weird. But as I thought about it, I don't necessarily think he was on drugs because he was talking very clearly. He wasn't like slurred speech or anything like that. And it's what I kind of thought then is that, after a month of hiding out, after killing somebody that you supposedly loved, I mean, it's got to be just wearing on him. And for somebody that is, on the run to just go and stop some stranger and start talking to him about his girlfriend, I mean, that's just weird. And I think, mentally, it's probably getting to him. So when we first stopped and we were across from each other, it took him a minute to say something to me. And he said, man, I'm lost. And I was kind of thinking, well, I'm a hiker. Maybe he's a hiker. I was, trying to find that parking lot. And I said, well, I'm not from around here, but, where are you trying to go to? And he said, man, I've got to get to California. I wasn't really expecting to hear that. Here we are on the East Coast. And he said, my girlfriend and I got in a fight. And she called me and she told me she loves me, but I've got to go to California to see her. And I said, well, man, the I-40 is right there. You can literally take I-40 west all the way to California. And he kind of shook his head and he said, "No, I'm just going to take this road to California." And the road that we were on is a little, 2-lane country road called Waterville Road. And you can't get to California on that road. But he started driving off, and that's when I left. He was dead serious. I mean, he was, but he was obviously, kind of out of his mind. But yeah, he wasn't laughing. He was just, that's what I'm doing.
Brian, the last text that Gabby's mother got from her said that she was in Yosemite and there was no signal. So I don't think it was Gabby, and her mother doesn't think it was her either. But that is in California. So it makes you wonder, what is this connection with California? Like, if Brian is the one that made that false text to Gabby's mom, what was the reasoning with California? It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's some kind of a connection here, something to do with California. Now, I could be way off, and this dude could be making up every damn word he's saying. But if he's not, and this was legitimately Brian Laundrie, as he is fully convinced that it was, what is the deal with California? Is it a way just to throw them off of a trail like many people seem to think? Or is there maybe some connection there with that last text message as well about Yosemite not having signal?
So when I pulled up there, it was definitely a pickup truck. I was sitting in my car and he was up above me in a pickup truck. It was 12:30 at night, and the only real light was the light from my headlights and his headlights out there. But it was definitely, I told the FBI it was a white colored truck. Maybe it could have been just some other light color, but I said it was a white truck, and I pegged it as a Ford F-150. I wasn't, going in trying to figure out what kind of vehicle it was or anything, but I thought it was a Ford F-150, and it was definitely a newer vehicle. It wasn't like an old beat up truck or anything like that. It was a new truck. When we left there, when we went our separate ways, I definitely wasn't trying to get his license plate or anything. I wasn't planning on calling the police then. I had no reason to, so.
That is what a lot of people wonder, as well as myself. Where would Brian have gotten his hands on a truck? And not only that, this guy said, it was a newer truck. Said that he wasn't planning or thinking about getting license plates, which is so unfortunate. But I wonder where he got that truck. If it is him, just given the small benefit of the doubt, it was him. Where in the hell would he have gotten a newer model Ford F-150? Now, let me tell you, those trucks are not cheap. Even the older models still go for, they're still pricey with lots of miles on them. So where would he have gotten this truck? And that's one of the reasons no one wants to believe this guy's story, is because Brian was just cruising around in a truck on a hiking trail. Well, anything's possible, I guess, and I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, even though so many others has literally just beat him down. So I don't know. I think it's still interesting to hear what he has to say, and who knows, maybe it was Brian, because his story literally adds up about the girlfriend and him getting into an argument. It's damn close to the same story that he gave the TikTok girl that picked him up hitchhiking. It's similar, but I don't know about the white truck.
I just kind of took off out of there because I didn't want to be around when he came back. Well, I mean, he was nice in the fact that, he didn't have anything bad to say, or he didn't act aggressive or anything, but you could tell he wasn't all there. That there was something wrong with him. I almost was going to ask him if he was okay, but at that point I was just more worried about just getting out of there. So it was uneasy about the situation. Yeah, for somebody, the way he was acting and the things he was saying, it's just not what a normal person, pulls it over, stops somebody at 12:30 in the morning to start talking to somebody about. And so I was like, yeah, I've got to get. So I called the FBI 3 times, and I called.
So he even thinks it's very weird at 12:30 a.m. a guy just randomly flags you down asking for directions to California. So yeah, he's like, even his own words is like, yeah, that's weird. It just doesn't make sense.
911 3 times. Yesterday, so that was Sunday night at 7 o'clock, I got a call back from one of the sheriff's offices in North Carolina, the one that got the 911 call. And the officer kind of informed me of what they had done, that they had talked to the FBI twice on Sunday. And they've made an offer to let me meet with the FBI either tomorrow or Wednesday, but they could set up a meeting with the FBI at that time. Like I said, I did speak with the local police office, sheriff's office in North Carolina. One of the things they told me is, and I was the thing that was the biggest disappointment to me is after 6 calls, no one had, from law enforcement had gotten back with me.
Yeah, and that's a really big deal, because saying that somebody does have a legitimate sighting of him, right? I mean, this guy would possibly sound just as legitimate doing a hot call like no one's heard before, to them, and nobody ever got back to him.
To hear my side of the story or the details from me directly. And so, but the detective that I spoke with on Sunday night was very informative. What he told me was, I placed the call to the North Carolina 911 system at 2:30 in the morning, and they had somebody out on site at 3:05. Basically, they had somebody out there for 50 minutes driving that area, and in that time, they pulled over one person, the only vehicle they saw out there during that 50-minute time, to check him. It was somebody else. It wasn't even in a truck. It was a car. So I felt, relieved that they had.
Well, so yeah, I mean, that does happen too. You call something in, and a lot of times, I know here, they don't call you back. Sometimes, well, actually never, really, I don't think. They even call you back to let you know everything's okay or whatever. Even if you call a wellness check on somebody, most of the time you have to call them back. So that does kind of make sense. They took his information, and then they actually went to the spot he was talking about and sort of kind of was surveilling that area there. So that does happen, and yeah, I mean, I get that. So that is a little more settling to know that they actually did take his call seriously.
Actually done something. I was glad to hear that. And the detective actually apologized, because he said one of their rules for finishing out a 911 call is to make sure that the people that make the call are informed about what the outcome of the situation is. And so he apologized that his office hadn't done that. And
they definitely don't do that here.
Said I have not heard directly from the FBI or from the Tennessee 911. I had called the Tennessee 911 system twice. But I probably will take the officer up, and he said he would bring the FBI to meet with me. So I probably will take him up on that offer. Yeah, I'm probably going to stay up here for a couple more days. So either tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm going to arrange to do that. What I noticed about him, in the photos of him, he's bald. I couldn't tell that because he had some sort of bandana or shirt wrapped around his head. And then, of course, I only saw him, because he was sitting in the truck, kind of, the top portion of his body. And it looked like he had on a T-shirt kind of with the sleeves cut off, and it was a dark color. He looked fairly well kept. I mean, he didn't look like I look right now, having come off the trail. He looked fairly clean and well kept.
I am rather excited to hear if he did go to FBI, because if he really does get to meet with them and they want to meet with him, and he said he's probably not going to come off of the trail until Wednesday, which is tomorrow, so maybe he will meet with them. Well, that's actually today now, so maybe he will meet with them later today or maybe tomorrow. FBI is going to know immediately if they're onto something with this lead, or if they're just going to brush it under the rug. So after he meets with them, if we continue to hear about his sighting, or if we start to see searches going up in the Appalachians and around in that area maybe, or maybe even, who knows, in California, I don't know, but if we start to see FBI kind of acting on anything this guy is saying, then that's going to mean that they took his information very seriously. So I'm kind of anxious to find out which way that goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was totally, I would say, jacked up. I mean, my heart was racing all night. I mean, I saw him at 12:30, and I couldn't go to sleep all night long. I mean, you know, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. I was still wide awake, and I was going to start hiking that next day. So I was wide awake. In the hours following that, I started texting some family and friends, and just to kind of tell them, because I just couldn't believe it still. And one of my coworkers said, well, you should call Dog the Bounty Hunter. And he sent me his phone number. So I called, I got a voicemail, but I just left him a quick little voicemail. And then I was texting with my family, and I said, somebody reach out to Dog the Bounty Hunter, just kind of joking. And my wife did it. She posted something on Dog's website. And his daughter, Dog's daughter, followed up with my wife, and that's really how all the media attention started going. What I hear is that there were a lot of media sources that were kind of monitoring his website, and all of a sudden all the interview requests started rolling in. You know, when I thought about it, it's like, you know, hey, heck, you just, you know, we're face to face with a murderer 15 minutes ago. And yeah, it's just like your heart jumped out of your chest when I saw that picture of him. And, you know, I've never had a feeling like that before, and obviously never seen a murderer face to face. So it was, it's quite a feeling. And like I said, it kept me up all night long. I mean, I couldn't go to sleep because it was just like, wow, so pumped up. And I was ready to go catch the guy. I mean, I was like, you know, I made 6 calls to law enforcement. I was like, somebody call me back, you know? And so, you know, that was kind of it. Of course, you know, she was in communication with my wife, and then, you know, my wife gave her my phone number, and she called, and she had a couple of questions for me. She wanted me, you know, she wanted to understand what exactly happened, and then they sent me an audio clip because they wanted me to hear what Brian sounded like to make sure that the voice was the same too.
Okay, he's had a lot of flack, and a lot of people come back on him because from the way the first article read that we have gotten about this guy is that he asked for this voice clip of Brian, but that's not what happened. Lisa, Dog the Bounty Hunter's daughter, wanted to send him a clip of his voice to see if he could remember if it kind of fit with the voice of the guy he's seen. So it was Lisa that wanted him to hear this audio clip. Now, a lot of people saying, oh my God, like you're going to completely remember somebody's voice. I can't even remember the voice of, you know, somebody I seen at the store 20 minutes ago. And I get that, and I agree with that. However, there is some people that they do have that distinct either voice or even accent, or, you know, something distinct about the way they talk, and you will remember that. And just to be honest, Brian kind of does have that, because when I was watching the body cam footage, it's like he runs all of his words together, and he talks really fast, and he also kind of it's like he kind of mumbles it, at the same time. Not so much mumble it, but it just all runs together, like instead of a sentence, he says paragraphs or whatever. It is kind of distinct. Not so much the tone of his voice, but the way he says his words and the way he talks. So, but yeah, that just clarified that. He's not actually the one that asked for that. Lisa wanted him to hear it and see if it sounded maybe familiar or like the same.
Just, face and everything, but the voice. And I agreed that it was him. And then last night, Dog called me also. And he wanted to hear firsthand, my account of the story and everything. Yeah, there's probably people that are out there that are doubting what I'm saying. I know there were people out there on social media that were being a little mean to my wife.
Okay, guys, there you have it. That is looked like he had started out in the early evening, and then the time dropped on down until the night. So it's actually on dailymail.com. All of this is, if you want to go check it out over there. But I wanted to put some commentary with it and kind of give my 2 cents into it. Not that I had a whole lot to say, but yeah. So yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think he's just out for 5 minutes of fame? Do you think he's working with the Laundries? And I'm just throwing some of the speculations out there that I have heard about this guy. Or do you think it actually was Brian? Or like me, you're not sure, but you feel like this guy really truly believes that he did come in contact with Brian Laundrie, and that is where I sit with this guy. Was it Brian? I have no clue, but I believe this guy definitely believes it was. And please, don't attack his wife. Don't attack him. Don't attack anyone. If they have a tip and they believe it's him, okay. And if the guy is working for the Laundries, then that is between him and his court date, okay? And if he does meet with the FBI within the next day or so, believe me, they're going to know. They're going to know quickly. And if he's out for 5 minutes of fame, well, it sure is inconvenience in his hiking or whatever it is he's doing. I don't think that at all. But okay, guys, let me know what you think. Have a great day, night, evening, wherever you may be. And until next time, this is Unjustified.